Hari Om. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Aim Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhur Swah Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Krishnaya Vasudevaya Hare Paramatmane Pranata Klesha Nashaye Govindaye Namo Namaha. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshiyamamritat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Our humble prostrations to the all-pervading Brahman, to our worshipful Guruji, Swami Jyotirmayanandaji Maharaj, to all the sages and saints, to all the holy scriptures, and to the divinity in each one of you. हमारा दंडवत प्रणाम है उस ब्रह्मांडीय ईश्वरीय शक्ति को, हमारे परम पूज्य गुरुदेव स्वामी ज्योतिर्मयानंद जी महाराज को, सब साधु संतों को, ऋषियों मुनियों को, और आप सब में विद्यमान परमेश्वर को. With divine blessings and God's grace, we are resuming our satsang. We had taken a short spiritual break for 2 weeks. And I was posting many things on Facebook. I hope you have been catching up with all that wonderful journey that we had, especially in Yogaville and then at our Guruji's lotus feet in Miami, Florida. Swamiji has turned 92, and we pray for his long and healthy life, his grace. It's very hard to find enlightened masters in this transient world. Guru Kripa Hi Kevalam Shishyasya Param Mangalam. The blessings of the Guru, the grace of the Guru is the one, that's the boat that will take us across this Bhavasagar, this ocean of the world process. So that is the grace of our Guru. It was a blissful journey. 2 weeks passed like 2 days or 1 day. I wish we could have stayed longer, but such is the journey. And equally joyful is this satsanga that we all have together in the holy blessings, through the holy blessings of God and our worshipful Gurudev. So let us all unite our prayers, thought process, our kindness, our love, and give it to the world unconditionally. Even the people who are harsh with us or mean to us, because they are also sick, like the people who are sick in hospitals. So with that prayer, let us pray for world peace, happiness, joy. Wherever there is sickness, may sickness be removed. May people find healing And today we will be doing a special prayer for Shankarji's mother. She's 88 in England, and she has had a fall, and she is in the hospital. So let's all send her our thought vibrations, our prayers, and also to Shankarji, who is taking care of her. Hari Om, Tat Sat. So our prayers are very powerful, and they help the soul, they help the body, they help us in so many ways. May God's blessings continue to guide people, to give them the strength and the energy that we all need to spiritualize our life. With that prayer, with that thought, let us begin our kirtan, and then we will start the Yoga Vashistha Satsanga. Jaya Ganesh, Jaya Ganesh, Jaya Ganesh, Pahi Mam, Shri Ganesh, Shri Ganesh, Shri Ganesh, Rakshamam, Sharvana Bhava, Sharvana Bhava, Sharvana Bhava, Pahi Mam, Kartikeya, 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 Rakshamam, Jaya Saraswati, Jaya Saraswati, Jaya Saraswati, Pahi Mam, Shri Saraswati, Shri Saraswati, Shri Saraswati, Rakshamam. Jaya Guru Shiva Guru Hari Guru Ram Jagat Guru Param Guru Sad Guru Sham Adi Guru Advaita Guru Ananda Guru Om Chid Guru Chid Ghana Guru Chinmaya Guru Om Jagat Guru Om Guru Sachitananda Shankaracharya Shivananda Jyotirmayananda Shankaracharya Shivananda Jyotirmayananda Shankaracharya Shivananda Jyotirmayananda Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Shiva 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 Shivaya Nama Om Hare 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 Namah Shivaya Om Namo Narayanaya Om Namo Narayanaya Om Namo Narayanaya Om Namo Narayanaya Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Anjaneya 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 Pahi Mam Hanumanta 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 Rakshamam Om Shakti Om Shakti Om Shakti Pahi Mam Brahma Shakti Vishnu Shakti Shiva Shakti Rakshamam Adi Shakti Mahashakti Parashakti Pahi Mam Ichha Shakti Kriya Shakti Jnana Shakti Rakshamam Gangarani 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 Pahi Mam Bhagirathi 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 Rakshamam Hari Om Hari Om Hari 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 Om Hari Om Hari Om Hari 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 Om Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti 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 Om. So let us first invoke our Guruji and read his blessings to all of us, through which we all are nourished, grow, and all of us who are connected at the soul level, at the spiritual level, we will all cross this ocean, but we have to be dedicated. put in our sincere self-effort, and leave it all at the lotus feet of our Gurudev and God. That is the essence of bhakti. Unconditional love, unconditional faith, knowing that we will prevail. God's blessings will be there. Swamiji's message for today, Gurudev says, blessed self adorations. Be a spiritual hero. Just like warriors are heroes in wars, we have to be spiritual heroes in spirituality. And we have to fight the battle of life and attain victory in the form of self-realization. So that is the goal, that is the objective before us. This human body will not last forever. It's a big blessing that we have been given this opportunity, and we have to attain victory. There is no other choice, no other option available for serious aspirants. Otherwise, you continue the cycle of life and death. You can climb the mountains of wisdom, scaling the majestic heights. So when we go on this path, we start enjoying bliss. Although externally things may be hard, we may have to go through tests and tribulations, part of life, but internally we will be climbing mountains, growing in wisdom, and we can fathom the depths of divine feeling. Bhakti will increase, communing with all living beings through the heart of cosmic love that belongs to Christ and Krishna and Buddha and Guru Nanak. All the sages and saints and prophets, they all teach us the same lesson. So we have to expand our consciousness and be more accepting. You can possess indomitable will and surmount all obstacles. That is our self-effort. All these are possible for you and much more. But we have to be like the spiritual valiant hero. Practice a harmonious blend of meditation, prayer, reflection, and dedicated action. May God bless you. Thine Swami Jyotirmayananda. So we have to do the synthesis of yoga. We call it integrated yoga, integral yoga. And that's why our not-for-profit foundation is called Integral Yoga Foundation. It has 4 pillars: Karma Yoga, selfless action; Bhakti Yoga, devotion; Dhyana Yoga, meditation; and Jnana Yoga, scriptures, reading, wisdom. So all these 4 have to be blended together to give us one harmonious feeling of karma, bhakti, dhyan, gyan. And when we combine them, that becomes integral yoga, integrated yoga. So that's what we should remember. It is not only just bhakti or not only jnana. We have to do all these things, make this world a better place by offering our help to poor, sick, needy, and wherever we can help and guide, and then our own bhakti and other things. So ye sab chalta rehta hai. All that is needed and will continue. So moving on to our theme of Yoga Vashistha. Today we will be covering section 130. We have been studying the story of King Vipaschita and how he had turned himself into 4 kings, 4 commanders, and how each of them had been through a different embodiment. So today we are covering section 130. And in that, all of that is happening in the royal palace. Vashistha Muni is giving this guidance to Lord Rama, Sage Vasistha, and all the court is already carefully listening to this satsanga and trying to understand the deeper meaning of all this knowledge. So in section 130, the deer turns into Vipaschita by the grace of Vashistha. Sri Rama then instructed some boys to bring the deer into the royal palace. So if you remember, we had said that the king was already in the deer form, and Sage Vasistha said he recognized him. So that's the section we will be studying. When the deer was brought, everyone began to gaze at the beauty of the deer. The deer in turn began to express its antics, delighting the audience, sometimes raising the head upward, sometimes downward, sometimes prancing and running in circles. Everyone began to wonder at the power of Maya. Once that Vipaschita was a powerful king ruling a great kingdom, commanding a great army, enjoying boundless wealth and pleasures. And now the same Vipaschita is reduced to a little deer. So that is the situation going on in the palace of King Dashratha. So amazing is the power of Maya. That is all illusion, Maya. Although no matter how real it appears, it may appear very real, but it is all still the power of illusion. So the deer turns into Vipaschita by the grace of Vashistha. Grace and siddhis of the Guru. The Gurus have a lot of powers, but they don't display it to worldly average people, but they have that potentiality. So Sri Rama asked, O sage, when will this Vipaschita be freed from this deer embodiment? Sage Vasistha replied, O Rama, behold, I will perform a miracle before you. By sprinkling water from my mantra-charged vessel, I will produce fire. Since fire is the deity of the Vipaschita, the deer will enter into the fire and will come out as King Vipaschita. So nothing is impossible in your dream. Much in the same way as we always say, this world is a delayed dream. Like in your dream, you can see lions, tigers, everything is you. You have become many, just like King Vipaschita's case, he had become many. So he emerged, the deer was gone, and now the king came out. Accordingly, Sage Vasistha pronounced some mantras and sprinkled water from the vessel. Fire blazed forth in the space before the deer. And the fire was without smoke and it burned without fuel. Such is the power of Maya. The deer was delighted to see that fire. It moved backwards like a lion before a prey and then bounced into the blazing fire willingly, because he knew it was his deity, although in a deer embodiment. Soon, before the eyes of all, the deer body was consumed to ashes, but out of the ashes there emerged a human being, King Vipaschita himself, now known as Bhasa. Bhasa is the name, meaning you can acknowledge that person who exists, Bhas. He emerged out of the fire fully dressed in a regal manner, like a king. Then Bhasa sat down in meditation. For a short while, everyone in the audience in Dashratha's court, along with Vashistha and Rama, sat in silence. They were all amazed at this miracle. How is this possible? Having recovered the memories of his past embodiments, Bhasa got up and turned his gaze to the people in the assembly. And whose grace brought him to that situation? Sage Vashistha's grace, because he wanted to show the entire story he had given to Dashrath and Rama. Finally, he approached Sage Vashistha and offered his adorations. Sage Vashistha placed his hand on Bhasa's head and said, "O king, you have wandered in the realm of darkness over a long period of time. Now, this is the end of that painful sojourn. May ignorance be fully destroyed." What a beautiful blessing from Vashistha Muni. Because when ignorance is destroyed, only then we get enlightenment. Enlightenment, mukti, liberation, nirvana, God realization. All that expansion of consciousness and recognizing the potentiality within. It happens through the grace of the Guru and through your own effort also. King Dashratha said, "O king, you have wandered in the world process for a long, long time. So please relax and be seated." Bhasa offered adorations to all those present in the assembly and then accepted the royal seat given to him by King Dashratha. So he was recognized for his opulence and power. But few minutes ago, he was a deer. Section 131, urged by sage Vishwamitra, Bhasa relates his experiences. King Dashratha wondered how King Vipaschita allowed himself to wander through the world process due to ignorance. Sage Vishwamitra, Vishwamitra means the friend of the world. Vishwa is the world, Mitra, the friend. So he, supporting the view of the king, said, O king, one who has not attained enlightenment continues to wander through countless embodiments in a mysterious universe where there is neither a beginning nor an end. So we are dealing with an endless universe. The world is a dust particle, a sand particle in the bigger cosmos, given the Milky Ways, the galaxies, the solar systems, and so many, endless. So once upon a time, long, long ago, there flourished a warrior race known as Vatadhana. 3 princes who are still living today were born in this royal family. Like King Vipaschita, they too developed an intense longing to explore this vast universe and come to the ultimate limits of the visible world. So they wanted to find out how big this universe is, and they had the power to travel anywhere at super fast lightning speed. Pursuing their intense longing, they passed through many cycles of birth and death. Like little ants moving on a mighty ball, they continued to explore the universe, and they are still doing so today without having found its limits. So the answer does not lie outside. We don't have to go here, there, be restless. Where should we go? Within our heart, find happiness and joy there. The same God that is in the pilgrimages and temples also resides in your heart. He also resides in every dust particle, every grain of sand. But we have to have the maturity and the growth to understand that. Spiritual places give us holiness. They sanctify because sages and saints have visited there. And it is the sages and saints, because of them, that the places become spiritual. And they have this, they call them Tirth Sthal, Tirth Yatra. So it is very powerful, but it has to be understood that eventually the journey has to go inwards, not only outwards. So this world is a projection of the cosmic mind. So what is this? What you see is the world. If you had an ant's eye, you would see the world very differently. If you had a dog's nose, your world would be very different. And so our senses are very limited, and therefore the projection of the world is according to our senses. And we already know everything is transient. Our senses are also limited. If we don't see, 1/5 of our world is gone, isn't it? Eyes, ears, nose, smell, touch. These are the 5 senses. So if we don't see, 1/5 of the world no longer exists for us. And if we cannot hear, 2/5 of the world, 40% of the world is totally gone. One little nerve in our brain moves in the wrong direction, and we call it mental illness, isn't it? So many body components, so many things. So this world is a projection, just like your dream is a projection. Jo sar sapne kaate koi, bin jage dukh dur na hoi. So just like you dream and you see things, the only solution is to wake up. In dream, no matter what you do, you will continue to stay in the dream state, right? So if you have to break the dream, the only answer is to wake up. Much in the same way, we call that process enlightenment, mukti, nirvana. So we have to understand that that will take time. It doesn't happen overnight. So have patience with yourself, but dedicate time to it daily. हर रोज थोड़ा थोड़ा समय देना होगा. Just like you brush daily, you shower daily, you eat daily, you go to work, you do so many things as a regular rhythm in your life. Much in the same way, this breaking this illusion will also have to be part of that daily exercise. The individual soul is essentially the absolute self. Yatha Brahmande Tatha Pindande. Just like the same rice, when you cook rice and you want to see if they are fully cooked, what do? You take only one grain to see if it is totally cooked. Much in the same way, but you don't look at every grain because you already know if one is cooked, they're all cooked. Much in the same way, we have to understand that if we go within and we understand ourselves, यदि हम अपने आप को समझ पाएंगे, तो भगवान वही है. God is the same, just like that full pot of rice. God does not do partiality. He does not give something to somebody and not to somebody else. Karma is different. Karma, we will have to go through our own karma, our own actions and the results of those actions, but we created those. We have created that. God has not done so. So we are basically simply fulfilling our obligations that we have. These are our debts, like your credit card, debt, your mortgage, debt, car, loan, right? If you don't pay, what happens? What happens? Trouble, isn't it? Trouble. So you don't argue, you pay your debts. Much in the same way, when karma, whether it's a pleasant karma or an unpleasant karma, don't complain, don't criticize, don't judge, don't say others are so lucky, look at me, I'm always suffering. No, that has to be purged in a accepting manner. And if we complain, the karma becomes harder to digest, isn't it? Painful for you, painful for everybody, and you prolong it also. That's why we have to understand the individual soul is the same as the absolute self. In the realm of ignorance, avidya. Avidya meaning, what is avidya? We talk about it many times, and spirituality is nothing new. You see, it's all talking the same thing over and over again in different ways. Old wine in new bottles. That's all it is. The scriptures have been going on for time immemorial. But yet, we have to review them in different ways, different formats, different times, and we should adjust so accordingly. But ignorance meaning when you think the world is real. Is the world real? No. Is your dream real? No. Is it unreal? No, because it did exist, you see, and the world does exist. Pain is real, but pain in your dream also is real. You go through the emotions. So, but when you wake up, is the pain there? No, not from your dream. You wake up, you are fine. In the same way, we wake up from one embodiment to the other, we are totally fine. So nothing happens. That's what we have to understand. It's illusory. Illusory means something that appears real, like a mirage, but is not there. Nothing to show. You go in a mirage, nothing happens. Just looks like water. Can a mirage thirst satisfy or quench your thirst? No, water, mirage water cannot satisfy. So he wanders to discover the ultimate reach of the universe, but there is neither beginning nor an end of this illusory universe. Many people ask, how did this world begin? Why did God create this world? Those questions, according to Vedanta philosophy, are unimportant. Questions that are not going to help our evolution. And when something is a dream, how same way, why does your dream exist? It exists, but does it? No, it comes and goes. Much in the same way, do you keep track of your dreams? No, you don't. So much in the same way, this world is also illusory. The universe is also illusory. What to say of this world? So like the wanderings in a dream, the king has wandered through countless embodiments. Countless. Not only the king, you, me, the ant, the plant, the elephant, we are all going through different phases of our embodiments only. So therefore, we are all interconnected. हम सब एक से जुड़े हैं, अलग अलग नहीं हैं. देखने में अलग अलग दिखते हैं. We may look different, we may appear different, we may have different names and forms, but at a deeper perspective, deeper level, it is all the same consciousness, Satchitananda, with different name and form. Only naam roop mein farak hai. Other things are all the same. So he says, now we may hear from King Bhasa, who was previously known as Vipashchita. As we all know, we have been following this scripture very diligently. As much as he can remember about his strange experience through his many past lives. See, Buddha also, when he attained enlightenment, some people get it, some people don't. So there is no hard and fast rule to say, okay, you got enlightened, so tell me your past 50 births. It doesn't work like that. But it's all the grace of God, and each soul, each enlightened soul goes through a different process. So King Bhasa, he replied, O king, by the favor of the Agni Devata, the god of fire, he says, I remember the experiences of pleasure and pain and the strangest of happenings from many of my past lives. And this is not so far-fetched. You Google and you see researchers from Harvard, Stanford, so many people are now researching near-death experiences, afterlife experiences. Even there was a survey that 25% of Christians even now secretly believe that there is there is life after death. So it doesn't matter. All we are trying to say is in Sanatan Dharma, there is no question. We don't have to research. It's already understood that birth and death are consequences of our actions, and it's all due to ignorance, and it will continue till you break the cycle. It's that simple. So King Bhasa could remember, Buddha also remembered, many other people remembered, and so many kids are born who remember their past birth. They even have taken reporters and so on to their past. So not everybody remembers, some do, who have had a different, like through the subtle body, some of the tear perforation happened, like a suppose there's a tear in a curtain, right? Now you can see behind the curtain and you can see a little bit, not the whole thing. Much in the same way, some of them remember their past birth, but they don't necessarily remember 20 births from their past birth. And so that is not a sign of enlightenment by any means, but it is definitely proof to guide people that you are not this individual identity only. See, you are infinity. You will continue to be infinity, but in that infinity, you will continue to experience pain and pleasure if ignorance is not removed. Is that making sense? That is important that we understand these concepts. इनको समझना बहुत आवश्यक होगा क्योंकि ये वेदांत का ज्ञान है. Two things. When you are studying Vedanta, you are studying Jnana Yoga and scriptures, then you are supposed to ask questions, because unless you understand, that's like mathematics, physics, chemistry. There has to be a certain outcome of a certain teaching. But when you get to bhakti level, when you go into emotions, there is no set rule. You can pray to Krishna, Saraswati, Ganesha, Christ, anybody you want, it doesn't matter. Those are only names and forms. So there you have a lot of independence, freedom, how you do your daily prayers, rituals, those are all full of freedom. But when you come to Vedanta, you have to understand what ignorance means, what raga dvesha means, fear of death, and what is this cycle, what is this illusion. All these questions have to be answered. And they are not hard. You just need a good teacher and your sincere effort, not an effort to judge, not an effort to be in a rush and quickly get the answers, because this is an experiential journey, not just reading, or theoretically reading 50 scriptures and thinking we are intellectual giants. It does not work like that. You have to practice it daily, a little, not a lot, a little, but a little every day adds up. So he remembers, King Bhasa remembers his past birth, and he says, I have been a tree in a great forest. Remember, we always say this. We could have been an ant, we could have been a tree, a cat, a mouse, a rat, a dog, a human being. Generally, the rule is if you are a mixed human being, which many of us are, we do good things, then we also do bad things. We repent, and then we do good charity work, then we do something, some anger spurts out, jealousy spurts out, ignorance. This is all due to the cycle of karma. You see, we continue to alternate between happiness and unhappiness. Sukh dukh mein hum परिवर्तित होते रहते हैं, and that is the challenge. So we have to, unless we break that cycle, we will continue in different embodiments. And how do you get that embodiment? Many times we have discussed the last thought at the last breath, which we will all have to come to at some point, right? Nobody knows. So when that time comes, if you have prepared properly, then you will have spirituality in your heart, in your mind, in your soul, and then you have a great future ahead of you. You will continue to progress, or you will maybe get liberation if you are very advanced. Even after death, some people do. It's called Krama Mukti. Krama Mukti means sequential liberation. Jivan Mukti means you are liberated in this life only. So we cannot demand God to give us liberation, right? We can only put in our effort, and then we have to earn it, and God pleases, he's pleased, and he will open the curtain for you. That is the journey. So when we go through that, jab hum wahan se jate hain, so what embodiments? It can be anything. Last thought, that like we discussed this small story, you cannot trick the system. The system is very intelligent. Cosmic intelligence is many times better than human intelligence and what we think with our cunning little minds that we can fix the system. Small story regarding this, last thought. This shopkeeper, he had 3 sons in India. So he knew that last breath is important, and if I take God's name, I will go to God. Such is the saying. So he had three sons. He named them Krishna, Shiva, Rama. And he would always take God's name. When he was calling his son, by default, you would take God's name. Krishna, yes, Pitaji, father, I'm here. Shiva, Rama. So he would sell his, he was a shopkeeper, and they would run a business, and all the kids were working in the shop. They were affluent. So when time of his departure came in the hospital, the doctor said he has 1 more day. So please, everybody come, say your goodbye to him. Okay. So everybody was there, says, Krishna. He says, yes, father, I'm right here. Can I do something? What can we do? Everybody is sad that they have a few more moments only with him. Then he says, Shiva. Shiva says, yes, father, I'm here. And he holds his hand. And then, where is Rama? Rama says, father, I'm right here. We are all here. We all love you. We are all here. He says, you're all here? Who's at the shop? And the minute he said, who's at the shop? That was the last breath. So you see the system? You cannot fool the system. So he died, and his vritti, the last thought was of money, shop. Why? Because that's what you have done all your life. All your life. Another story of a parrot. So this owner, he brings his parrot home, and he teaches the parrot Ramayana, and he teaches him little shlokas, and the parrot is enjoying them. And every day the parrot's going Rama, 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 Ram. So Ram, Ram, Ram bhajan is going on, and the person is also very happy that look at my parrot, he is so spiritual, and all day long he's chanting Ram, Ram. So one day he forgot to close the door, and a cat comes in. And suddenly he's sleeping in the other room, and suddenly he hears a lot of screeching. Chee, 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 chee. And he comes out and he sees the parrot is screeching. Why? Because cat, Mr. Death. Cat is the death. So he's looking at the cat, and everything, all the Ram Ram is gone, forgotten. See? So what does that tell us? These are stories, obviously funny stories, jokes, we laugh about it, but they're not so funny from a profound standpoint, because everything we have done, if we are sincere, that is the time for us to get the outcome. Like you have all passed tests, haven't you? Whatever studies you have done, whatever graduation, undergraduation, 12th grade, masters, or whatever you have done, every stage required a test, and equally difficult test. If you are a master's student, you will get a master's level test. They will not give you an 8th grade test in a master's degree program. Am I right? That doesn't happen, because you have to prove yourself. Much in the same way, on this path, if we have done this properly, अगर हमारी साधना सच्ची है, हमने श्रद्धा से उसका ध्यान किया है, तो हमें कुछ भी दुख नहीं होगा, आनंद ही आनंद होगा और आराम से मृत्यु होगा. We will die in peace and comfort and joy, and that death becomes a celebration. True. Saint Kabir says this, जिस मरने से जग डरे मेरे मन आनंद, मरने से ही पाइए पूर्ण परमानंद. So Sage Kabira says that death that is such a terror for people. He says, I don't know why. Why are they so terrorized by it? He says, Mere man anand, I think of it and I'm in bliss, he says. He was not normal, you see, because he had done so much sadhana that he was at a very high state of affairs, different, elevated level. He says, I am feeling bliss. Even when I close my eyes, I feel bliss. How much more bliss it would be when I achieve that union with God. Marne se hi paiye puran parmanand, he says, because I want to merge into the ocean of bliss. Because in this world, I open my eyes and I'm back in the same old world, same old jealousy, greed, lust, this, that, money, this problem, that problem. The world will continue. Sukh, dukh, jivan, mrityu, yash, apyash, labhani, happiness, unhappiness, life, death, gain, loss, day, night, they are all dualities, you see, they will continue. So here, in King Bhasa's case, he says, with my limited senses, I endured heat and cold. A tree, when we go through trees, do you ever talk to a tree? Do you ever give it a hug? Or you think it's just a tree? No, I'm serious. Deeper questions, you see. It is an extension of you, that tree, that animal. So that's why we say ahimsa paramo dharma. Non-violence is the first principle of spirituality, meaning you treat everybody like you would like to be treated. Would we like to be on somebody's dinner plate? No. We say, that's, how could you even think of that? We are human beings. But then there were cannibals, isn't it? People who would eat human beings also. So this world is very weird. And what we do and don't do is a choice. It's our choice. Everything is our choice. Yes, choice you have, but consequences of your choice, parinam, you don't have. You can only study and appear in the exam. Where does the result come from? The examiner. Then you are done. All you could do is put in your effort or not put in your effort. Am I right? If no effort went in, don't weep if you fail the exam, because nothing went in. And if you succeed with flying colors, wonderful. You were a good student, you studied, and now you are successful. That is the point. That is the point. So therefore, spirituality has to be understood with deep introspection. We are not just checking boxes. I read this scripture, now I can move on to the next one. We have to try to say, can I implement it in my life? How painful it is? Is it possible? So in this case, King Bhasa is saying he endured the heat and cold, wind and breeze, and countless vicissitudes of nature for 1,000 years. Even today in India, there are trees that are 5,000 years old. When the Bhagavad Gita, where Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna gave that teaching to Arjuna, I personally visited that tree in Kurukshetra. There's a place called Jyotisar, 14 kilometers from Kurukshetra. You go there and you actually witness that tree. And in Bhagavatam, which King Parikshit and Sage Shuka, there's a place called near Haridwar. So that is the place, Shukratal, Shukra, Sage Shuka. And I have been there also. I think we have pictures. Those of you who are interested, maybe I'll put it in Facebook. Let me know. So all these things, in this case, King Vipashchita himself for 1,000 years When winters come, what happens? All the leaves are gone. Summer comes, breeze comes, and spring season comes, the buds come, the leaves come again. So the roots are intact, but they go through this aging process, much like you and I do, us do, we all do, through wrinkles and old age, and eventually we pass away. He says, I was embodied then as a Vidyadhara. Vidyadhara is not in this world. That's in another higher realm. So which means when we say we are going through experiences of life and death, it's not necessarily just on planet Earth. It can be, we just studied, it's infinite. The universe is infinite. It could be in any realm based on your actions. So as a Vidyadhara, those are celestial musicians, you see, they are very good at that, and they have a lot more, million times more comfort than us. There is a Upanishad, maybe we can pick up that at some point, where it shows 1 unit of human happiness, and then 100 units of that happiness in that loka, another 100 units of that. So it even shows you the mathematical calculation, if your mind can even imagine that. And we find joy in just a cup of tea sometimes. That joy is billions of times more than this world that we live in. So he says there he was passionately attached to Vidyadharis, a class of female celestial beings. In other words, the opposite sex. That's all he could think about. Even in this world today, you see people like that, right? Totally intoxicated with thoughts like that. So, and that becomes the vritti. Vritti is the thought wave. How you cultivate that thought wave, and then you go in that direction only. Then he says, I was a swan sporting in the Mandakini river for 1500 years. What's the point of this time? 1500 years, 1000 years. Even a turtle, we say, lives what? Hundreds of years. And some people live only, people like Shankaracharya, Vivekananda, Ramakrishna Paramahansa, and Ramana Maharishi. So many of these sages and saints, they come, they don't live very long life. Yeah, Vivekananda and Shankaracharya only in their 30s, and Swami Ramtirth Maharaj, who came to Chicago and Los Angeles, and he mesmerized the world just like Vivekananda did. And they all went in their 30s only. So age is not the criteria of spirituality. See, he says, listening to the songs of Devis from the Kshir Sagar, Milky Ocean. Milky Ocean is the ocean of where Goddess Lakshmi and Lord Vishnu reside. You must have seen that picture. Goddess Lakshmi is massaging the feet of Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu is relaxing on a serpent, Sheshnag, we call it, cosmic serpent. These are deeper implications, not just an actual snake he is lying on. You have to understand the depth of the scripture. Tumbling from embodiment to embodiment, I became an Apsara in the Sehachala mountains. Apsara are divine celestial nymphs, celestial, meaning not of this earth plane. In course of time, I incarnated as an ascetic in the Mahendra mountains. So he also achieved that, a yoga bhrashta. Who is the yog bhrasht? Technical term. Yog, union with God. Bhrasht, could not succeed. So what does yog bhrasht mean? Means that somebody who was trying to connect with God and spiritualizing his life, but unfortunately, the time of death came before attaining self-realization or mukti. So therefore, the cycle could not be fully completed. And that's what Bhagavad Gita also guides you, the situation of a yog bhrasht. What happens to a yog bhrasht? Somebody, which is what Arjuna's question was, somebody who has done a lot of effort. He gave up so many temptations. He worked so hard, and then he got distracted and could not complete the cycle. Last thought deviated, had some other thought. King Bharatri, That example you already know. He was a king and then he was born in a deer embodiment because he thought of a deer. And then in the third embodiment, he became Jad Bharat, enlightened sage, who eventually enlightened a king, King Rehugana. So all these things are literally there, but we have to have deep faith and countless infinite patience to understand all this. But Lord Krishna says, no matter what, if you have put in the effort, that result will never ever fail you. Suppose you have earned a master's degree, you earned it 20 years ago. Suddenly you want to now pursue your higher studies. What do? You take your certificate and you apply for your PhD program or whatever you want to do, and you are qualified because you have already done previous studies. The university will not ask you to go back and get a bachelor's again and a master's again and come back. Same principle Lord Krishna is saying, if you have done the work, continue from where you left off. You don't start from A for apple, B for boy again. If you have already read Yoga Vashistha, and all of you who are regular on the Satsanga, you are all high-level souls, not average souls. So start feeling blessed that God has touched you, where you are giving more importance to Satsang than the name and fame, the worldly things. Because what is to show in these worldly things? After everything is gone, it becomes dust. Our body also becomes dust and everything ends. So this is why they say, Udharet atmat anatmanam na atmanam avasadayet. Meaning, pick up your lower self by your higher self. You have to stand on your own shoulders, no matter how stupid or how idiotic that may sound. Impossible it sounds, right? But it is possible. You can do it. Otherwise, Lord Krishna would not tell us that. It is definitely, we can all, definitely not easy. Nothing worth accomplishing is easy. Ask yourself how much studying you have done to attain your current social status where you are. Lot of effort has gone in. And that's only for worldly success. Now think of this as perpetual success. Mukti, meaning never being born again, never dying again, always in the ocean of bliss. So he says, among the most mysterious experiences, he says, I remember once I saw a strange woman whose body was transparent. In her body, there reflected the three worlds. See, we are only used to our own interpretation of a human being and what we think our world is. What did we start with? That the world is infinite. The experiences are countless. So he says, when I asked her who she was, she explained that she was the Chit. What is Chit? Sat, Chit, Ananda. What is the Chit here? Consciousness, Atma. So in that case, he is seeing consciousness as a transparent woman merging in the three worlds. So he says that's the consciousness aspect of Brahman, the indwelling essence of every being in the three worlds. Essence. Just like your essence, what is your essence? I am. That is your essence. I exist. Sat, Chit, Ananda. We all want to exist. We all want to know. And we all want happiness, isn't it? Whether you are a theist, you are an atheist, you are an agnostic, doesn't matter. How do those terms matter? When somebody pricks you, the hurt is equal to a theist, an atheist, and an agnostic, right? We all three bleed and we all three will die. So therefore, using humility and a good intellect becomes very important on this path. This is not our world. We did not create it. Not even one element we have created. Not even science. Science has not done it. All science is doing is taking permutations and combinations of God provided elements and trying to find some correlation to the different things, isn't it? Now, gravity, who discovered it? Isaac Newton, isn't it? So how did he discover it? When the apple fell on his head. Apple fell on his head. He says, oh, so there is a force in the earth that is pulling it to itself. So there must be some scientific law behind it. But were apples not falling before they fell on Newton's head? They were falling on somebody's head also, somebody other's head, or on the ground. Gravity always existed, always. But science found the answer and the equation to calculate it. Through that, we have gone to the moon. So this is how the Atma always exists in your heart. It is there. But if you are able to see it, feel it, you can also, what is your moon? Enlightenment. You can get it. Can we go by ourselves like this with our regular clothes? No. How do you go in a space shuttle? How much effort is needed? How much air pressure has to be given up and so on? Spirituality, same thing. You have to want God like fish out of water. Fish out of water. So she explained all beings have consciousness as their essential reality. All beings, not just human beings, all beings, which means trees, ants, spiders, crickets, cats, dogs, you and me, all of us. घट घट में है साईं रमता कटुक वचन मत बोल रे. God resides in all, every one of us. So therefore, let us not be harsh. Let us be loving, kind, compassionate, and view this whole universe as our home and the whole creation as our family. When you think like that, think how rich you become, how big you become, how magnanimous you are. Keep the practical realities, maintain those, but at least have that feeling within that we are all one large universal family. Imagine if everybody thought like that. Would there be this Russia versus Ukraine, breaking down of the Chinese balloon, this, that, so many things we continue to do. This is mine, that is yours. And hatred, anger, frustration, always trying to prove your point that you are more intelligent than others, better than others. And that's how the world works. Nothing against it. But that's why they say, try to remain more in sattva, purity. Because if the more worldly you become, the more you have a desire of proving others wrong, being more successful, going for that next pay grade band, getting another promotion. All that's okay. But to what end? Where does it end? And then the body only ends, isn't it? So many people die at their jobs, heart attack, stress, tension. See, and these are not poor people, rich people, people who are good. They have good jobs, good homes, good everything, but don't have a purpose, don't know the end goal. So therefore we keep on rotating like a rat in a ferret wheel. So she's explaining that they all have the same consciousness as their essential reality, and therefore every individual may be said to have the three worlds reflected in their deepest essence. These three worlds of physical world, astral world, causal world. That's what's meant by the three worlds. Your practical realities, your emotions, and your eventual feeling of bliss within. That's why we call it waking, dream, deep sleep. Can you do anything outside of these three things? Think, socho. Jagrat, स्वप्न, सुषुप्ति, ये 3 अवस्थाएं हैं. इन 3 से बाहर आप कुछ कर सकते हो. Can you do anything outside these 3 things? Very rarely. Few people can touch Turiya once in a while if they are very elevated. Transcendental meditation that we call 4th state. So, but most people are on this level. That's the 3 worlds this lady is explaining. And who is explaining this? King Bhasa in the court of Lord Ramachandra and Dashrath. Those countless beings are being led by the voices of their conscience, guiding them about what is right or wrong. Countless beings. We call Atma ki awaz. Sune hai na ye baat, Atma ki awaz. Even if the whole world has not seen if we have done something wrong, a theft, a crime, or hurting somebody, nobody saw it. But you saw it, you did it. So therefore, your conscience pricks you. You can't sleep at night. You feel uneasy. That's why many criminals sometimes after 15 years admit their crime. Have you heard of that? Yes, there are situations like that. Somebody says, for 15 years ago, I committed this crime, but since then every night I have been tormenting myself. Some souls, I'm not saying all of them do it. Some of them are caught by the police and so on. But the karma will always be there. Because God saw it, you saw it, and your conscience saw it, isn't it? That's why we say, stay in sattva, create more purity. That is the way. So, in the course of my wanderings, I saw a world where there were no women. People were produced from the elements and they dissolved in the elements also. So, just because we produce biologically and we have babies and so on, doesn't mean the universe works that way, which we call. There are so many ways. I saw a world that abode in darkness, a world where all beings arise out of Akasha. What is Akasha? Ether element, one of the 5 elements, and dissolve in Akasha. There's a world without the sun, moon, stars, and yet luminous. All living beings there are self-illumined. There is a mantra after we do the Aarti, we every time we say this after our satsang is over in Aarti, we say na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhati kutoyam agni tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. What does that mean? That there is no light of the sun or the moon, what to speak of lightning and fire. So through that light, the sun gets its light, the lightning gets its light, the fire gets its light, because that light is self-effulgent. That's why they say the consciousness within us is like 1,000 blazing suns. It's a metaphor. Don't start calculating the heat and say, how is that possible? We are not talking about the physical part, but we are talking about the self-effulgence part here. So all living beings there are, that is called Vaikunt, Lord Krishna's abode, or whatever your emotions can take you, because God can take any shape, any form, and anything he wants. We cannot restrict God into your own man-made components of Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, this, that. All these are man-made. God, and then we want something from God. If he doesn't give it to us, now we are mad at God also, that God doesn't listen to us. See, this is foolishness. Our idea of God is so far out of reality. That's why they say self-realization is an experience that cannot be described by these limited senses, because the senses themselves are defective. Eyes, nose, ears, taste and touch. Something changes, there are blind people, life is gone, have 1/5 of the life, they cannot see anything. How will they know what color, what this, what that? Then you become deaf or you lose your sense of smell. So, in brief, there is no place where I have not been. There is no secret spot that I have not seen. There is no act or event that I have not known. In other words, everything has been accomplished. You have also done that. You are also King Bhasa, Vipaschita. That's the deeper, these are the deeper mystical meanings you have to understand. Otherwise, you just read these stories and say, huh? Huh? What happened? How is this possible? What? No. You see? And every practical reality that you encounter is your own experience also. And you get that proof in your dream every night. So you have to expand it. Usko बढ़ाना होगा ताकि समझें. In the course of his narratives, King Bhasa recalled how he had once seen a mighty corpse fall upon the earth. Protected by the fire god, he was able to stay unaffected, witnessing the destruction of the world. What does that mighty corpse mean? We call it the Virat Purusha. Virat Purush means the mighty cosmic form of Ishvara. Ishvara is of this cosmic illusion, which we say there is dissolution. Pralay, you've heard the word pralay, means cosmic delusion. So that's what here he is talking about, King Bhasa, that he saw a cosmic delusion once. And we will conclude our satsang here, and we will study section number 136, the story of the gigantic corpse, next Friday. So you see how deep these scriptures are, and these are not just stories, these are guidance for us how to lead our life and understand it in a deeper philosophical, mystical way. And that is the general understanding of this scripture. So with that thought, let us do our arti together, and we will then conclude the satsanga. This Sunday we will be doing satsang from Shiva Vishnu Temple, Stockton, California, 10:30 a.m. morning, Pacific Standard Time. We are in California, so those of you in whatever time zone you are in, you may want to adjust that accordingly. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Deepa Jyoti Param Brahma Deepa Jyoti Janardana. Okay. So let's do a quick arti together, and then we will end the satsang for today. Hari Om. जय जय आरती विघ्न विनायक श्री गणेशा, जय जय आरती सुब्रमण्य कार्तिकेया, जय जय आरती वेणुगोपाला वेणुलोला, पाप विदुरा नवनीत चोरा, जय जय आरती वेंकटरमणा संकट हरणा, सीतारामा राधे श्यामा, जय जय आरती गौरी मनोहर भवानी शंकर, सांबा सदा शिव उमा महेश्वर, जय जय आरती राजराजेश्वरी त्रिपुर सुंदरी, महाकाली महालक्ष्मी महासरस्वती महाशक्ति, जय जय आरती आंजनेया हनुमंता, जय जय आरती दत्तात्रेया त्रिमूर्ति अवतारा, जय जय आरती शनैश्वराया Bhaskaraya Jai Jai Arati Sadgurunatha Sadgurunatha Shivananda Sadgurunatha Jyotirmayananda Sadgurunatha Sai Baba Jai Jai Arati Vigna Vinayak Na tatra suryo bhanti na chandra tarakam nema vidyato bhanti kuto yam agnihi tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati om shantihi shantihi shantihi. Hari Om Tat Sat. Divine blessings to all of you, wonderful souls who are connected with us. And we will see you on Sunday and start our Bhagavad Gita. We are studying chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga, the yoga of meditation, a very deep chapter. So all of us, whoever are available, please join us in the live session, which is very interesting, very profound. Om Tat Sat. May we all be blessed by our divine Guru Swami Jyotirmayananji Maharaj. You see him in the back blessing all of us. So may his grace be upon all of you also. Om Tat Sat. Om Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Hi, Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you for being here, and let us continue this journey with faith, love, and full of bliss and happiness. Hari Om Tat Sat.